What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'm going to be doing the 2021 Formula One driver lineup for the 2021 Formula One season. 20 of the best race car drivers around the world will set sail in Australia in March, take the green flag for the start of the 2021 season, which includes 3 rookies, including one very controversial driver that we will talk about, a driver who has not raced since 2018 in Formula One, making their return, and the 2020 champion, while not 100% confirmed, is expected to come back to Mercedes in 2021. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Like the end when I do the IndyCar driver lineup videos, instead of just going to individual numbers like the NASCAR lineups I do, I'm going to go by the teams. So I'll start off with one team, which will include 2 drivers in each, and then we'll go through each of those organizations. And also, this is, by the way, the 500 subscriber special for you guys, so hope you all enjoyed it. Also, another thing, hope you all had a very Merry Christmas as well. Hope you got what you wanted. Hope you guys got to spend time with your families as well, especially with how bad this year has been. Hope you guys got what you wanted on Christmas. So, anyway, let's go ahead and go through the driver lineup. So we're going to start off with the top team, the best team in 2021, the Mercedes camp. The first one is your 2020 Formula One champion and 7-time Formula One champion, Lewis Hamilton, as he will look in 2021 to try to become the all-time winning, all-time champion-based driver, as Lewis Hamilton looks to win his 8th championship in Formula One. While he's not 100% confirmed to be returning to team at the moment, it is expected that Lewis Hamilton will be driving for Mercedes once again as a top driver and the favorite to win the championship in 2021. His teammate in 2021 is going to be Valtteri Bottas, who had a pretty decent year in Formula One in 2021. I believe he ended up finishing second in the standings, which the top 2 drivers ended up finishing 1. So he scored a couple victories in 2021 in Formula One, but wasn't as good as Lewis Hamilton was in 2021. But in 2021, Valtteri Bottas will be looking to improve, and he will try to see if he can beat Lewis Hamilton in the championship in Formula One in 2021. The next team we're going to take a look at is the second best organization in 2021, where we see one new driver on the team and one returning driver in 2021. The first one we're going to take a look at is one of the hotshot young drivers who's really been taking over the reins in Formula One the last couple years, and a driver who could be once again a championship contender once again in the Formula One championship. We are going to talk about the Mad Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen, I'm a huge fan of. I think Max is a very, very talented driver. He's only scored, I think, 11 or 12 current Formula wins up to this point. And in fact, he's only 22 or 23 years old. Shows how very, very talented Max Verstappen is. And he would be looking to try to go out and win the Formula One championship, though the Mercedes cars are overall better. But at the end of the year, Max Verstappen won the final race of the 2020 season, and he will be looking to try to win the championship in Formula One in 2021. His teammate is a driver who drove last year for the new Aston Martin F1 organization, which was the Racing Point organization. He comes over to his best opportunity in his career. Sergio Perez will be joining Max Verstappen as a teammate in 2021 in the Red Bull organization. Sergio Perez is one of the most talented drivers currently in Formula One. He was able to score the win at the Sakir GP after George Russell had problems late in the race. Sergio Perez is a very, very top driver. This is the best opportunity he's ever had. And I think Sergio Perez will surprise a lot of people and score quite a few wins. He has taken over the seat of Alexander Albon after Alexander Albon, well, I think he's a very talented Formula One driver. He kind of had an underwhelming season, wasn't really able to get that many podiums. He really hasn't had that many podiums up to this point. But Sergio Perez will be looking to improve and help both cars both be championship contenders, and I think this is the best overall driver lineup the Red Bull has had since when they had Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen in the same organization. The third team we're going to take a look at is the McLaren organization. We have one driver who is returning to McLaren in 2021, and we have one driver who is jumping over to McLaren after driving for Renault. The first driver we're going to take a look at is Landon Norris. Not only is Landon Norris a very, very fantastic Formula One driver and one of the hotshot drivers that has come through the last couple years, has some very, very strong runs in the 2020 season as McLaren looks to get better with the Mercedes plant helping them over in 2021. And I think he will have a very strong 2021 Formula One season. I think that he could have an opportunity finishing top 5 in the points. I do think there will be quite a few podiums coming from Landon Norris in 2021. And not only that, he's a very, very fantastic Twitch streamer, and he's very good, and he's very, very popular among the fans. Like Max Verstappen, he is one of the future stars, and I think that Landon Norris will do a lot of great things with the McLaren plant in 2021. His teammate is one of my favorite current Formula One drivers who had really a surprisingly really strong year with this organization. A lot of people did not think that this driver was really going to shine in 2020, but he had a couple podiums this year in 2020, and in 2021, he will be looking to improve and contend to try to finish in the top 5 in the standings in Formula One. That, my friends, is Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo used to be a driver at Red Bull Racing, but I think it was late in 2018 or 2017. He left Red Bull and went to join the Renault organization. He has had some very, very strong runs in the past, and I think that Daniel Ricciardo in 2021 will be looking to improve and looking to become a better driver in the Formula One scales in 2021. The fourth team we're going to be looking at is a new renamed Aston Martin Formula One that in 2020 was named Racing Point after Lance Stroll's father, Lawrence Stroll, took over and he took some ownership into the Aston Martin Corporation. We have a new driver joining that team and one driver remaining in that team in 2021. The first driver we're going to look at is a driver that is returning, and that is Lance Stroll, or Sir Lancelot, as a lot of us like to call. Lance Stroll is pretty controversial because he didn't come from talent, if we're going to be honest, but he came for money. But he had a couple really strong performances in Formula One in 2021. He scored a podium at the really, really stupid Monza race. That Monza race was really, really crazy, which Pierre Gasly will talk about here really soon, ended up winning. But Lance Stroll also showed his prowess. Again, the Aston Martin team does have backing from the Mercedes plan, which really, really helped that organization, especially his past teammate Sergio Perez. But Lance Stroll looks here to improve and try to show that he's really, really talented, and he's not there just because of the money. He's also a really nice guy, so I have really no hatred toward Lance Stroll. His teammate is a new driver that is joining the organization in 2021 after a very, very, very terrible year at Ferrari, after in 2019 finishing top 5 and finishing 13th in the standings in 2020 and only scoring one or two podium finishes in 2020. Sebastian Vettel looks for some new light at the new Aston Martin F1 team. As like I said, they do have Mercedes backing. So Sebastian Vettel in 2021 will be looking forward to try to improve himself in the 2021 Formula One season and look for some new life. I think really this is Sebastian Vettel's last really a big opportunity, because Sebastian Vettel, in my honest opinion, is getting to later stages of his career. He's around the 34 to 35-year-old range, and sometimes drivers at this point do end up retiring when they get up to this point. But Sebastian Vettel will be looking for some new light, and hopefully the Aston Martin F1 team can really help him shine and really get back to the top and try to help him become a better driver. Though the Aston Martin F1 team's not the best team, they have Mercedes backing, and they should hopefully be able to improve in 2021. The fifth team and a halfway team that we're going to take a look at for the 2021 Formula One season is a newly named Alpine F1 team. After last year, they were named the Renault F1 team. There is one driver who is returning to the Alpine F1 team in 2021, and a driver who is making their return after not being in Formula One for a couple years, as he tried to go out and compete in the World Endurance Championship, and also competed in the World 24 at Daytona as well, and Le Mans as well, and tried to compete in IndyCar. Was looking to possibly go to IndyCar as well. The first driver that we're going to look at is a driver who is returning to the Alpine F1 team, which was the Renault team. That, my friends, is Esteban Ocon. Esteban Ocon, I think, has a lot of talent. I think he's a very, very solid driver. He will be looking to improve on a pretty decent year. Again, this Formula One season was really, really crazy. But hopefully the Renault team, Alpine team, can really, really drastically take major improvements. And he will have someone who he will work with that really is going to help him, especially since this guy has a ton of experience and is arguably one of the greatest drivers ever. But again, this guy that his teammate is going to have is not as good. His teammate in 2021 is going to be Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso left after 2018 after McLaren really was not very good. Let's be honest, McLaren in 2018 was not as good as they were now when they had Landon Norris and Carlos Sainz on that team in 2021, which we'll talk about Carlos Sainz really, really soon. But I think Fernando Alonso is someone that can really, really go out and mentor a young driver like Esteban Ocon and get him a lot more experience in 2021. As for Fernando Alonso, I think ultimately his goal is to try to get as many podiums as he can and try to see if he can get back on the top Though the Alpine F1 team is not a top-tier organization, the Renault plant is not really that fast. Fernando Alonso looks to help Esteban Ocon and mentor him, and Fernando Alonso is making his return. It's really, really exciting to hear that when we heard the news of Fernando Alonso coming back to Formula One. It's really, really exciting. Great to see him back. He's very, very powerful, a fantastic driver, and he's also got a really strong personality as well. As Fernando Alonso will be joining the Alpine F1 team in 2001. And now we're going to take a look at the sixth organization in 2021. We're going to take a look at Ferrari. Ferrari in 2020 had one of their worst ever seasons they ever had. They went from being a top-tier organization when Charles Leclerc was in the contention to win the championship to being one of the lower-ranked teams in 2021. At least Charles Leclerc in 2020 was really, really good, but in 2021 they looked to try to improve, though they are not expected to really improve in 2021. We have one driver that is returning to the Ferrari plant in 2021, and we have one driver that is making his change. After he was at McLaren, he will be jumping down to Ferrari in 2021. The first one we're going to look at is talented driver Charles Leclerc. Not saying Carlos Sainz is bad or anything, but Charles Leclerc is a very, very talented Formula One driver. I've really been a huge fan of Charles Leclerc over the last couple of years. He has a very strong personality as well. He did have some decent runs in Ferrari in 2021. Really, this past year, outperformed Sebastian Vettel. But I do think that there was a little bit of help from the Ferrari plant. I think they preferred Charles Leclerc over Sebastian Vettel, if we're going to truly be honest. But Charles Leclerc, I think, is a very, very top-tier driver. I think he's a really good driver, though. I will say one thing about Charles Leclerc this past year. Like I said, the Ferrari plant was generally really not great this year, but Charles Leclerc did have some strong runs in 2020, and he looks in 2021 to outperform or try to improve the equipment that he is having in 2021. His teammate is going to be a driver, like I said, who was over at McLaren in 2021. He will go to Ferrari. Carlos Sainz Jr. Carlos Sainz Jr. I've been really, really high on. I think he's a very, very great driver. Him and Lando's working together was really, really strong. Hopefully that Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz can build that same bond that Landon Norris and Carlos had. I'm hoping that Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc can build a really strong bond. But these two will be teammates in 2021, and hopefully in 2021, both of these drivers can work really well together. And Carlos Sainz Jr. looks to try to improve himself and looks to try to see if he can maybe win some Formula One Grand Prix in 2021. The seventh team we are going to take a look at is the AlphaTauri organization, which is technically the second Red Bull organization. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the AlphaTauri Racing organization as the seventh organization for Formula One in 2021. We have one driver that is returning to AlphaTauri in 2021 and one driver that is new. That's a hotshot rookie and the first Japanese driver to race in Formula One since 2014 with Kamui Kobayashi race in Formula One. Let's talk about Pierre Gasly first. Pierre Gasly in 2020 had a really, really strong year and a very surprisingly strong year as well. He was moved over to the AlphaTauri team late in 2019. In 2020, was actually able to score a chaotic win at Monza in 2020, holding off a hard-charging Carlos Sainz Jr. late in the race, but he's able to score his first career in Formula One. He looks to improve that in 2021 and looks to become a better driver in Formula One in 2021, and I have a really lot of hype toward him for going forward. His teammate is a hotshot driver from Japan, Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda finished third in the Formula 2 championship, driving for Carlin Racing in 2021, finishing behind, I believe it was Nikita Massman and Mick Schumacher. If I'm not mistaken, it was Callum Eilon, I think it was. Yuki Tsunoda had a very strong 2020 season in Formula 2, and he'll be jumping up with AlphaTauri Racing in 2021. There's a lot of hype around Yuki Tsunoda. I think he's a very, very talented Formula 1 driver, and he looks to try to become a great driver for the Formula 1 organization, and he'll have some mentorship from Pierre Gasly and Helmut Marko going forward in 2021. Great to see him returning. The eighth organization we're going to go take a look at is the Alfa Romeo organization, as we have the same two drivers that drove for their organization in 2020 are returning their organizations respectively once again in 2021. The first driver to take a look at is arguably one of the greatest drivers in Formula 1 ever, Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi Räikkönen had kind of an up and down year in Formula 1 in 2020, and he looks in 2021 to try to improve and become better as well, and try to see if he can crack at least quite a few points finishes in 2021. And Kimi Räikkönen, I still think, is one of the best drivers in Formula 1 ever. That's just my honest opinion on that. The other driver that will be his teammate as well is Antonio Giovannazzi. Giovannazzi is honestly a pretty talented driver. He has some decent runs in Formula 1 in 2021. As like I said, it's been a very chaotic year for Formula 1. Giovannazzi had a pretty solid year in Formula 1. He looks to try to be better. They had a decent year, the organization did, and Giovannazzi looks to try to become a better driver for the Formula 1 organization and tries to help Alfa Romeo get back up to the top in Formula 1 in 2021. The ninth team we're going to take a look at is got a very controversial driver and the son of a legend in Formula 1. The first driver we're going to talk about is arguably the son of arguably the greatest Formula 1 driver of all time and one of the contenders for the championship in Formula 1 in 2020, Mick Schumacher. Mick Schumacher has a ton of hype around him because Mick Schumacher is a very talented driver. Again, though, he is going to Haas F1, which are also part of the Ferrari plan, which are not really that great of a team, if we're going to be honest with ourselves. Mick Schumacher has a lot of hype around him. His goal is to try to get as many points finishes as he can in 2020, and his goal is to beat and outshine his teammate that he'll be working with. That teammate being Nikita Massman. Yeah, I'm not happy that they decided to keep Nikita Massman, if we're going to be honest with ourselves. Nikita Massman does not deserve to see it in Formula 1, though he is going to drive for Haas F1. The only reason he's even in the ride right now to begin with is funding. Even though he sexually assaulted and groped a woman, people say, oh yeah, it was a friend of his. Then why did the woman in question not drop his name? Probably because she didn't want to get a lawsuit from his father, who is worth $7 billion and has more money than Nicholas Latifi's father and Lance Stroll's father as well. Now, regarding the whole situation, Formula 1 can basically just get rid of their We Races 1 campaign because now with this whole thing coming out, him basically being confirmed and they're hiding behind closed doors, I'm very disappointed in Formula 1 that they cannot take action on Nikita Massman. And I truly think that it should be Pietro Fittipaldi or Callum Ilott or maybe Alex Albon maybe taking over the ride for them. Regardless, though, Nikita Massman's on a team. He's not going to do very well. I think he's going to completely struggle. I'm not a fan of Nikita Massman. I don't think he completely deserves a ride, but he's going to go full-time with his organization, Haas Formula 1, going forward in 2021. The final organization in Formula 1 that will be competing in 2021 will be the same two drivers who drove for that organization. We're going to go ahead and talk about that right now. The first driver is Nicholas Latifi. Nicholas Latifi arguably was not very impressive, if we're going to be honest. He didn't just do absolutely garbage in Formula 1, but he really didn't impress me too much. So really the only reason Nicholas Latifi's even in Williams to begin with is because he has a lot of funding and a lot of backing behind him. I'm not expecting too much from Nicholas Latifi, not just because it's not like he's bad or anything, but it's just because he has a lot of funding and he's only there because of funding, but also Williams cars are generally not that fast. His teammate, once again, joining him at Williams in 2021, is a driver who really impressed me a lot this year, and a very generational star who should probably be taking over Valtteri Bottas' spot, but I digress. Anyway, George Russell. George Russell, I think, is a very talented driver. I think he's a generational star. In my opinion, he should be the teammate of Lewis Hamilton, but probably won't at least get over there until 2021. Maybe in the future, George Russell takes over, especially since when he took over for Lewis Hamilton, when he had COVID-19, he was really impressive in his debut with that team at the Sakir GP, but unfortunately, he had a lot of issues late in the race. Really was not his fault, unfortunately, but he'll be looking in 2021 to try to collect as many points as possible and try to beat Nicholas Latifi in as many races as possible, but he will return once again with Nicholas Latifi as a team, as they are probably going to be the slowest team once again in Formula 1 in 2021. So, anyway, that is your 2021 Formula 1 driver lineup. Guys, thank you. First of all, thank you guys for your continued support on this channel. This was the 500 subscriber special, so for you guys that are new to the channel, and check this out. Thank you guys so much for your continued support on this channel. I do greatly appreciate it. It's been a crazy 2020. This is arguably going to be the final project that I'm going to release for 2020. And in 2021, we're going to be going guns blazing for 2021. So regarding the other lineups, the IndyCar lineup, the NASCAR Cup Series, the Xfinity Series, and Truck Series lineups, I'm hoping to hopefully release those at some point later this year. Well, not later this year. Hopefully at the beginning of 2021, I will be able to release those lineups. But this is the first of 4 or 5 driver lineup videos that I'll be releasing to you guys. So if you enjoyed today's video and you're new to the channel as well, and you're not used to Formula 1 content, I generally do NASCAR content on this channel, though I will incorporate other motorsports content into the channel as well. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe to the channel, notifications so you'll be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also support me on Patreon as well. Links in the description below for that. And comment your thoughts on today's video. What did you think today's video? And let me know what your thoughts were on today's video. Did you really enjoy this lineup video, or should I just stick to NASCAR content overall and IndyCar content overall? Let me know in comments below. If you like today's video, make sure you like it so YouTube can recommend more of these great videos out to you guys. If you do that, I greatly appreciate it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching once again, and I'll see you guys next time for more great content. Take care, everybody.